welcome to my energy update 2025. We have arrived. Guys, so happy that we're in January. So happy. Sorry to sound like the Grinch, but I don't like Christmas at all. And I'd be really happy if we could skip December and just get to the good stuff. January. Always a lover of January. Always feeling like the sun has risen in my being and I'm just happy, right? I mean, let's face it. We're all sensitives. We're all starseed beings incarnate. And you know what? A lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us don't like crowds, don't like noise. That's what Christmas is all about. So it actually overstimulates my whole being and I just can't do it. So, you know, each year I am kind of maybe guilty of growing green fur on my fingers and a green face. Yeah, that's kind of the Grinch. Marie channels the Grinch for about 3 weeks of December. And then miraculously comes out of it in January, just feeling so happy. So that's what I'm feeling like I've got a new spring in my step. However, it's not been that easy because there's still stuff going on. I'm still working through some stuff. Went through some deep, dark stuff, which I'm going to get into now in December and why. And I have 3 points to share with you, which is all about the divine feminine who has risen. I don't want to say divine feminine rising. She's risen. She's there. It's donezo's. Her sun is in the sky. 12 bells, noon, she's there, right? So now we are dealing with a quick alignment with that, right? Which is why I'm going to now dive into the difference between, in my world, in my Gospel of Marie, the difference of the dark night of the soul versus quick alignment with divine feminine, right? It kind of walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's very similar, isn't it, right? Whereby you just feel like in this really gritty, shitty energy and you're just like, oh my God, when's it going to go? You know, and that was very much the month of December. I got sick again. I spoke to a lot of people that went through, not all of us did. So those that didn't, like double thumbs up, holding it down for the rest of us. But there was a lot of us that went through that sickness again. I got another head cold, borderline sinus infection. Didn't get that sick though this time. But I went through some sickness, very, very dark, heavy energies, old stories, like the root system of my old story flared up. I only came out of it 2 days before Christmas. And yeah, that was intense. And I spoke to others who were going through the same thing. In fact, we all went off radar and we were all in our stuff, right? Now, why do I say that it's different to the dark night of the soul and just your dark, shitty stuff? Is because when you're in the dark night of the soul, it's almost like you're really living the story and you're breathing and believing everything about it, right? And you're just in this reality where you're like, oh my God, this is just traumatic and horrible. Yet something inside of you helps you to keep going. That's your inner being, your ancient one that just knows the way. But the human, Marie, is like, oh my God, dang. Do you know what I mean? So like, that's the difference. We're really invested in the story and we kind of feel we're believing in the current timeline reality, right? But when we get to this purge or the purges we're going through right now, because we're still in it quite a lot, it's different because we're in it, but we're tapping the head going, I don't believe this. I know that this isn't true, but I'm still feeling it. So there is a difference, quite a significant difference, is that we are in the illusion, we are living the lie, but we're not believing the lie. And we're kind of looking at it, which sends you more crazy actually, because you're like, I know this isn't true, but why am I in it? So that tells you it's that kind of like last layer of purging now that we're going through. And I know we're sick of purging, but you know what? It's the human experience. So like we have to get over it, you know? So that's the difference in my world. That's the difference. And that's pretty much what we went through. I was in a throat hold. It was intense AF. It really, really was. But I was just like, but I don't believe this. This doesn't sit well with me because this is not what I have embodied as truth. I know the difference now. And I think that's the wise wisdom master within now. That's what I'm saying. That's how far into the game we are now. So with any timeline shift, and I'm going to get into this in another video because I'm going to talk about faith versus belief and what it feels like when you collapse a belief system in your being, right? And how it feels. But I'm just going to explain to you briefly now that purging is basically what it feels like when a belief system is being collapsed in your being, right? It's not even a story or that bigger dimension. It's just belief systems, right? And that is why it's kind of like fizzing and popping in your being. You're like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're absolutely fine. So that's kind of what's happening now. It's a real core belief system purge that we're going through right now. It's very simple. It's very acute spot right there. That's what we're doing, right? So the belief systems, what you're experiencing releasing is the very, very crux of your shadow soul journey. Let's put it that way. And we're coming out of it now. So, and it kind of comes in rapid and it leaves rapid, right? So let's go back now to the divine feminine, okay? Who has very much risen. I've been having fat chats with the great Sphinx, who's been very much in my energy field. Even though he comes to me as a grandfather energy, he's very much about the divine feminine. And he's about the divine feminine, which is now fully embodied on earth. That's what I believe, right? So now we are rapidly getting lined up to match that frequency and energy, which is a lot like pulling a plaster off, like phew, it's done. So now I have 3 points to share with you, okay, to do with the divine feminine and to do with this softer era we're going through. Let's make no mistake that the divine feminine is soft and fluffy. She's like very powerful and it's deep. And she's essentially the backbone, the essential activating factor to all of your other power, right? So that is why we're kind of like feeling this deep immersion and transition into her energy now, right? Now let's talk about that a little bit, about the understanding, or rather before, I don't know about you, but when I was in 2024, my 2025 looked a certain type of way. All of a sudden, everything that I planned and put into place all fell apart. Now I saw it as a complete redirection, but now where I sit is like, I have no flipping idea what 2025 looks like. Oh, that's the great mystery. That's the divine feminine, because the divine feminine mysteries is all about not knowing, letting go of the need to know, falling into that big trust, falling into that deep faith, and just letting her lead the way. That's how it's supposed to feel. But we're so used to controlling everything that it's a bit weird, isn't it? So those are the final purges we're going through to align with the need to not know, right? So my 1 point here, I've got projects, creations, pre-2025 and back, fall away because the divine feminine leads you. You have no answers, right? And that will allow you to disconnect, detach from the outcomes and come into your inner space and just coast. Because the true power of creation, manifestation, all of the things comes from that detached space where we all tend to fall short, which has been very difficult to do up to this point. Okay, so not putting any judgment on anyone or anything. I just think that this what's been available to us is we have been manifesting, but we've still been holding on because our environment hasn't supported us with this safety, divine feminine energy. Now all of a sudden we've plopped into it and we're kind of going, oh, this is all right. We're letting go of the need to know. That is when the divine manifestations truly come online, because you have to let go of the idea and release it into the ethers, not give a toss about whether it comes back, whatever, it's done. You're like, yeah, moving on. Like a little toddler, they're like, yeah, fine, done. Made that Lego building, done. Moving on, where's my next toy? You know, and it just unfolds like that. So you're going to now start to see in your life big things coming online, because if you're in that divine feminine consciousness and you are letting go of the need to know, that means you have surrendered, or you're surrendering. That's what all this dark energy is about. And it's just, and then you're just going, well, yeah, whatever. I feel like, yeah, it's all going to be okay, isn't it? Yeah, I want all of those things, but I'm not really attached to any one thing. I'm just happy today. That's harmony, right? That's peace. That's the vibrational match to the universe. That is when you surrender and you let go of everything and you let Jesus take the wheel, and then it does come back to you. So I believe on a much more collective level, humanity has been going through this huge shift and really connecting with our powers of creator beings. Watch 2025. It's going to flip mode you so much. First 6 months of this year, you're going to see how quick and easy it is to manifest, because you were opposed and oppressed by being in the divine, I don't know, whatever it was in the shadow. It was like, ugh, do you know what I mean? This is the new timeline. This is the fresh oxygen. Okay. Point number 2. Okay. Ideas that were birthed in the old timeline, let them fall away into the old world. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to jump into, this is a bit similar to point 1, but this doesn't mean that you need to jump into and make new ideas. This for me, this January and forward, right? It's all about relaxing, chilling, taking some much needed rest, observing, being still, watching the movies, reflecting, you know? And it's like kind of just letting it all fall. That's the divine feminine, because in that energy, it then comes to you. We don't really want any action phase as such. In fact, your action phase is going to feel very different to you in the future, because actioning through the divine feminine is going to feel very, very different to solely being in your divine masculine, which is all about control when it's in the shadow. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to start to feel. So that's why you need to observe and just let the ripples come to you, because Usually we dive in and then we fluff the water. It's a bit like having a really, really clear pond, right? You want to be able to see the beautiful stones and crystals on the floor, right? On the bed, on the floor. And then all of a sudden somebody comes and ripples the water. You can't see. You can't see. So let's not bring action to the water. Let it be still and you'll get crystal clear clarity. We're going to now be reminded. We're not going to learn because this is what's been deeply in us all along. We're going to be reminded of what it is, how we create from a place of absolutely nothing and stillness, right? So this is really important. So allow divine inspiration to drop in now. Don't go searching for it. Don't go looking for it. It has to come. It has to come. And if it doesn't come that way, then it's not for you, right? So everything's fallen away, including my life this year. And I'm in complete trust with it. I'm like, fine. Well, if it's fallen, in December, I wasn't okay with it because I was in fearful mode. And I was like, shit, what's going to happen now? And wanting to fix it. Now, I now know, well, hang on a minute. If we're at this stage of the game, they obviously got a much better idea for me. So I'm just going to sit here and see what they're cooking up. So I'm just going to peer over their shoulder and go, what are you doing over there? And just be like a little kid at Christmas going, they're going to give me my present in a minute. Have that kind of energy to it, right? Because what if it was all working out for you? But you mustn't get involved or distort the frequency. Let it come, right? You'll be so rewarded. Okay, so now point number 3. Okay, change, fear, uncertainty. Let me read my writing properly. Change, fear, and uncertainty to excitement of the unknown. What possible miracles and magic are coming? So again, I'm kind of like overlapping from one point to another because they're leading in, but that's exactly what I'm talking about here. So this is about like, instead of looking at it going, oh my God, it's all going to a ball of shit, or because there's nothing in your space, because it's all collapsed. That's good. If it collapsed in the old timeline, let it collapse. You don't want to bring anything from that old timeline into the new. It's just not a vibrational match, right? It's going to be a tadza, as we say in Zimbabwe. It's a tadza, okay? So fuck up, basically. So don't do that. Don't bring anything over in because there's an upgrade going on. And do you know what? Quite frankly, what you were doing before, maybe you're not supposed to be doing it at all. I keep getting told by Toth and all of my guides and everything like that, you're going to be completely redirected into something else. You're going to love it, but we're not going to tell you yet. And I'm like, shit. Because if they tell me now, then I'm in the divine masculine. They're like, just trust and know. If they let you know exactly what it looks like, then you're not going to deepen your faith into the divine feminine, that everything is just in flow, right? So that's really important. So now I was, oh my God, it's all going wrong. So fear and uncertainty was I. And then it moved into like, oh wow, what are they cooking up for me? Like, you know what I mean? If this isn't happening, what else could possibly happening? So you just go into these infinite possibilities of like how it could work out and just like, wow, okay, well, I'm excited to see because I know I've been with this shadow issue for, well, not just years, lifetimes. Okay. We all have. And I know that it comes to an end because I know this is your faith. I know that this can't possibly come into the new timeline because that's just fear, anxiety, and low energy. So if we're in the high energy and the only thing that can exist here is that high energy and love and so forth, then what's going to be born of that? So there must be something good coming for me. So just sit back and watch the movies and receive, but sit in it long enough before you take action, right? This is all about trust and faith. And I'm going to do another video on this because this is where we're moving from belief to trust and faith, 2 very different things, okay? So those are my 3 points for this energy update right now. And there's a lot more I want to share on because there's a lot going on, do you know what I mean? But that's okay for now. So I'm going to leave you with that. And just to ping on your radar, I'm so excited. Watch out for the full-on sharing because I've been doing it a little bit on the sidelines. Avalon Tour 2025. I now have a brand new website updated. So excited. It looks so gun. Gun in Africa means cool. And like, yes, I'm going to be sharing that with you. And those that want to join me, I'm like, let's get on a call because Avalon is the sacred counterpart to Egypt, as we know. But more importantly, that comes before that, Great Sphinx has been talking to me a lot. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information as to what's being shared with you when the time is right. And it is all to do with this tour in May. So if you're feeling called to Egypt and you feel, let me just say this, if you feel a very strong connection to Thoth, the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, and you have a very deep connection and understanding of what it is to have a tablet or what the tablets of light is all about, that whole energy of Thoth, God of wisdom, if you have that kind of like vibration and it resonates with you, then this is going to be for you, this tour, because something big is coming. And I know that it's going to be happening within 2025, but there's like a pocket of portal energy in Egypt before I go to Avalon with the group in August. Hey, if you feel called, do both. Do you know what I mean? But it's all to do with the divine feminine that's risen. And the Great Pyramid, and more importantly, the Sphinx, is resounding this energy, because the Sphinx is a time capsule, okay? It's a record keeper. So it was there before the pyramids. It was there before time even started. It was probably the first thing that was built on the earth. That's how old the Sphinx is. And I do believe it's the actual epicenter of everything and everyone, especially as star beings, right? So I'm just going to leave that there. So if you feel the resonance with that, let's get on a call for that as well. But exciting things happening this 2025. Abundance is coming online. You know, foresight is happening. We're here. It's there. It's happening. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to sign off and I'm going to go and do my other videos. Peace.